So on a quiz, for example, you wanted us to do that.
To solve.
Oh, well, I definitely got all of those wrong.
So we'll talk about the quiz. Basically, what the quiz did is it told me where you were at. So it kind of gave me an idea of where you were, how you were doing. And I realized on the quiz that we really need to hit factoring hard. So we're going to go back. We're going to redo some stuff that we've already done. And then we're going to go further. Okay? So when it says solve, that means it wants to know what your factors are.
Not just the factor.
Right. If it said simplify, that would be okay. That's the difference. Solve means tell me what x equals. Simplify means just simplify into its factors. Okay, so let's look at let's go back. I believe this is page 4 in your notes. Page 3. Thanks, Dave. So the first thing we're going to look at is factoring out the greatest common factor. Factoring out the greatest common factor. So in number 1, what is our greatest common factor?
In what?
Number 1.
6.
Okay? So if I take 6 out, what am I left with on the inside?
2k minus 3.
And how do you know that, Josh?
You can find 6 is okay and the other 8.
Basically, when you factor something out, you're saying 6 times what equals 12k? And 6 times what equals 18? Exactly. Negative 18. Excellent. What about number 2? So the greatest common factor is 8, but is it only 8?
Oh, no. 8. Well, 8. Yeah. Yeah.
And why is it x to the 4th power y?
Because oh, actually,
So now it's,
what?
what can we multiply 8 by to get 40? 5. What can we multiply x to the 4th by to get x to the 8? X to the 4th. So don't forget, when you're multiplying like bases, you just add the exponents. And then what can you multiply y by to get y? Exactly. Multiply it by 1 to get y. So now what can we multiply 8 by to get 64?
8.
So plus 8.
Just 8.
And then what can you multiply x4y to get x4y? 1.
I understand that.
Jake, you look like you're pondering.
Yeah. I understand like how you have it, or how you get AX for a while, but I probably should get like a worksheet or something like involved.
I'm glad you said that because yes, we are going to do more practice. We're definitely going to do more practice. So tell me about number 3. Bring one slide, greatest common factor.
7.
So 7.
M squared.
Excellent. Thanks for helping. Jake, can you tell me what I can multiply 7m squared by to get 14m to the 6th?
2m to the 4th.
Yeah. Okay, so what can I multiply 7m squared to get negative 35m cubed?
Negative 5m.
And then finally, last one, Josh. Negative 1, yeah. Exactly right. All we're doing is factoring out our greatest common factor. What's the greatest common factor on number 4? What did you say, Josh?
I would say add.
Oh, AB, okay. And then, three what, Josh?
3b.
Why do we include that B?
Because you have a squared.
Exactly.
Minus 5.
And then what's the next one?
Minus 5.
Why don't we have a B on that?
Because it took the b out. Yeah, it's a squared instead of b squared this time.
And then the final?
It's just a. So like right here, you're just simplifying it to instead of solving. Okay.
We're not solving, we're simplifying. Excellent question.
Could
So-
you even solve that?
No,
Okay. There's no equal sign.
it would have to have an equal sign for you to solve.
Okay.
And so the very first thing we're going to do when we're looking at factoring is factoring out that greatest common factor. So then, when A is equal to 1, what am I talking about when I say A?
Yeah, x squared.
So yeah, I'm talking about the standard form of a quadratic, which is what?
3x squared plus bx plus c.
Right? So when A is equal to 1, it's relatively simple most of the time to solve. I haven't said today how much I hate this board, have I? So we're looking at 1. What is our A?
1,
What is our B?
40,
And what is our C?
45.
So if we do our factor cross, we've got A times C adds together to get B.
45, 5.
So if it helps, I do have this factor puzzle for you. And so you have 45, and what are the factors of 45 that you can add together to get a positive 14? 9 and 5. And so how would I write those?
X plus 5, x plus 9, x plus 9, x plus 9.
Exactly. So what about number 6? What's going to be on top? 26. What's going to be on bottom? So what are the factors of a positive 26 that you can add together to get negative 15?
13 and negative 2. Yeah. Or negative 13.
And so how are you going to write it?
X minus 13. X minus 2.
Kimmy, take 7. Jake, take 8. Josh, Braden, Markel, and Tyson. Do them on your whiteboard so you can present.
6 people.
Yeah. Can you still see? Okay. I had to move you off your stool so that I could plug you up. One more minute. All right, Miss Cammie, step us through yours.
Okay, I got C minus 6, C plus 8.
And how did you get that? Because you were looking for factors of what?
48, and then they had to add together to get 2.
Yeah, so negative 48 and had to add to a positive 2. So negative 6 plus 8 would give you a positive 2. Excellent. Number 8.
It was negative 9, or x minus 9, x plus 8, because once you multiply those two together, you get negative 72, and then you have to add them together, negative 1, which is basically
Perfect. Josh,
I got x plus 6 squared. I got that. There's you have to get 36. You gotta get 6 times 6 is 36, and then plus, and 6 plus 6 is 12.
perfect. Brayden, how do you know that? And when you multiply them together, you get exactly. Ms. Markel,
Back to 1 plus 2 minus 1.
so 2k minus 2. Is that what you said?
Not 2 on that side.
All right, now what?
K plus 2.
Oh, 10. Sorry. My ears must not be working today. Is that right? So the first thing you saw is that you had what that you could factor out?
2.
Yep, and we call that a greatest.
I'll call that.
Yep. And so then when you factored that out, you were left with 2 times k squared minus 8k minus 20. And so then you just did your factor cross, negative 20 on top, negative 8 here. So what factors of negative 20 you add together to get 8?
So when you factor out the 2, it basically simplifies everything else. So you'd be left with, hey, you'd be left with a very big thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then, yeah, tell me.
Yes. How did you check this?
Plug in that.
FOIL. You can pull it back out to double check. Which is basically what y'all are doing when I ask you, how do you know that? All right, Ms. Paisley.
I did top on the outside and then C plus 1 and C minus 6.
Yeah, definitely not what I got.
So how did you know to factor out the 5?
It was the greatest one I got.
Exactly.
Your students. Well, yeah, that's actually smart.
It can be.
I got negative 2, negative. Yeah.
Yeah, I got C
Minus
minus
2,
2.
C.
Okay, so step me through how you got that. First of all, give me the problem again, please.
5C squared minus 25C plus 3.
So the easiest way to do it is to factor out that 5. That makes it a much simpler problem, which is what Ms. Paisley did. Z squared minus 5Z plus 6. And that gives you Z minus 2, Z minus 3 with the 5 on the outside. But could you do 5 times 30 is what?
6. No, I'm starting with 180. What?
How did y'all do it?
No, 150.
Did y'all factor out the 5?
Yeah.
So you did factor out the 5.
Yeah, and I got a negative 2.
Yeah, you would do it.
I used
You
different
could do it.
factors.
What's 6?
We use different factors. That's what she did. 1 and 6.
Yeah, she used 1 and 6. So I shoot 3.
Okay. But, okay, let's see.
You can't use 1 and 6 because it would.
What did you guys have? Z minus?
Minus 2, C minus 3.
Yeah, but what's the 1 and 6 that we're talking about?
Oh, she had,
She had C minus 1.
She had C.
she had negative 61.
Yeah, because what you combine.
But that works too, doesn't it?
Yeah. It was negative 30. She was.
What's the problem with this one?
That equals 5.
Jake, I already know.
What's the problem? So you want a positive 6, you've got a negative times a positive. So is that right?
Wait.
So I would like, Josh, a negative times a positive equals a negative, not a positive.
Oh, yeah, that's
Mistakes help us learn.
Pretty sure basically it's just the bottom of the top.
And you're like, I literally
I
have to run my paper. I just, for some reason, it's not me.
That's not, sometimes we don't, right? So what happens when A is greater than 1? So then it can become a little challenging, right? But the factor cross still works. It's just that it is another step. Do you know what the other step is?
Wait, we're talking about what we just did.
So what happens when A is greater than 1? Let's step through it. So we have A times C, which is what?
Well, you just like not factor out A because it is greater than 1.
Oh, this is we have to talk.
And if you factor out A, then A is 1.
You don't have a greatest common factor here, though.
Yeah, right. Figure it out too.
So we have to multiply A and C. So what is A times C?
36. Okay.
And then we want them to add together to equal 15.
Negative.
So what factors of a positive 36 would add together to give us a negative 15?
Isn't this where you have to equal it?
No, this one, no, I know it. You have to, what's it called? What's it called? Don't you have to tell me something about 2?
I'm pretty sure this is where you equal it.
You do -3 and -6, and then 2 times -3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You talked about 2.
But you, that's spoiled.
So that's plug and chug.
Yes, it's not boiled.
But that's plug and chug. But listen, what are factors of a positive 36 that will add together to give us a negative 15?
Oh, 12 and 3. I forgot that.
So negative 12, negative 3.
How does that equal positive 18 though?
It doesn't. Equals 36.
Your A is no longer 1. A times C. What is A, Jake?
Oh, 2.
What is your C?
18.
And so 2 times 18 is? Okay. So here's your extra step. You have 2x squared minus 12x minus
Oh, this is where the grouping comes
3x exactly plus 18.
in. Okay.
And now you look for that greatest common factor. So what's the greatest? We've got this invisible line right there, right?
2x, right? So 2x on the outside, and it's x minus 12. No, minus 6.
What?
I don't know now. I don't know.
X minus 6. That's the answer.
So this is the grouping.
Ignore that. Squiggly line.
It's an invisible line, so we're grouping the first two and the last two. So the first two, 2x times x minus 6. And then if we look at the last two, what is the greatest common factor?
But you have to equal that. That's equal negatives or x minus 6. So it'd be negative 3 on the outside, x minus 6.
That's what I have a lot.
You had it. So in grouping your goal, what's in the parentheses has to be the same. So the first thing you do is you find your factors that'll equal a times c and add together to get the negative 15, which is the b, right? That's just the back across. A is no longer 1, so this is not going to match your c anymore. Then you want to write your factors, what you just calculated. You want to group them so that you have greatest common factors between the two pieces.
Wait, that's the question.
Yes.
How do you know when to group and when not?
Because 2 doesn't go into 15 or 18.
Oh,
Or it does go into
Anytime your A is not 1
okay.
and you're told to factor.
Wait, so what about
11.
and 12?
Were you able to factor out a greatest common factor?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, I understand.
Oh, I thought you said factor in general.
Okay, I got it now.
If you have the greatest common factor, you're going to factor out the greatest common factor.
Oh, and
I thought you were going to say factor in general.
Martha.
So the way I solve this, I can say it's an answer, but I can't remember how I did it.
There's more than one way, especially if you can do a lot of this in your head. That's not a problem. I'm just showing you the way to.
Well, I didn't write it
Jake,
down.
all you do is have that line and you just have the problem. Hey, you see it, so it's okay. The what?
It's so
The negative 3?
oil in my
The
opinion.
negative
is so
3
much.
is once you get something that equals 36 to add 15 and add that.
So it's literally oil is so much easier. Well, you do 2 times negative 12, that equals. or
It's
2
not
times
always going to be that way, though, Jeff.
I feel that.
So then your last step is you take what's on the outside and put it into parentheses. And then you take one of the.
Goes into negative 3 goes to negative 3 plus 8.
So you take what's on the outside, put it in the first parentheses, and then what's on the inside go in the second.
I understand.
All right. What about 14? Do we have a greatest common factor?
No.
No. So what is 5 times 48? Yes, negative 48. So is that correct?
Yes, and you did 30 again.
And you want it to add together to get a positive 22.
So 30 negative 8.
Does 30 minus 8 equal a positive 22?
Yeah.
And 30 times 8? Yep. So then we're going to say 5p squared
Plus 30p.
plus 30p minus 8p
That's 48.
minus 48. What is our greatest common factor in the first two terms? So 5p. And what are we left with on the inside?
P plus 6.
Yeah. And then what is our greatest common factor in the last two terms?
Negative 8.
Negative 8.
plus 8. Answers.
So do these two match? Then we're good.
And answers 5 minus 8 plus 8. No,
So what's on the outside goes in 1, what's on the inside goes in 1. Mark out.
I just didn't write this down.
this is so easier now.
I don't remember how I wasn't any work at all. It's just the answer in there. And we did work this out, but I had it done in a day to only work it out. Now I was sitting here, I was like, oh my gosh, well, because I already solved it. I can't remember how I solved it. Hang out with there. No, I think I did it in my head, but
This is what I really realized when I'm watching it. Look, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
It's not always gonna be that. It's good that you can do it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to know the other way just in case.
I remember that.
Okay, so now we have 15 through 20.
Were the other classes go on? Probably not. I understand it now. That's not very good.
All right.
It's the yes.
Yes, Markel. Not today. Mm-mm. Paisley, will you take 15? Markel, 16. Jake, 17. Braden, 18. Josh, 19. And Cammie, 20. Take 6. Yep, same for that. You want it in your notes too, so that's good.
Huh?
You want it in your notes too.
So you three line. Oh, you want to go last time? Seven. Or there's seven. On the side of one. That's what you get. So now 14 lines by here.
Yes, exactly, excellent.
So then now we just stay. Oh, wait, no. There's actually one more, but it's not. I just like got Bob over here.
What's the greatest amount of time?
It'll be 2y plus 3 negative 7. This one, I'll show you this one.
Zero says, what's on the outside?
That would be the factor 4. That's just weird. Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, so number 15, Miss Paisley, will you present? And I'm just gonna write it up here so Miss Cammy can see it.
Okay, I got 3h minus 5 and h plus 8.
So 3h minus 5 and h plus 8. And can you walk us through that?
Okay, so 3 times negative 40 is negative 120. And then you can do, but you can divide that by 5. And so your factors will be 5 and 24, which you can do 19 with. And then that gives you 3h squared plus 24 minus 5, 24h minus 5h minus 40. And then you can like do the everything.
All right, so then you've got 3h squared minus, which ones did you group together? The 24
Yes.
minus 24h, and then plus 5h minus 40.
It's plus 24 minus 5h, but yeah. Because it's, oh wait, I'm actually.
No worries. So then we have 3h, and that leaves us with what on the inside?
H plus 8. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
There's just so many places you can mess up with the factor.
And then plus 5h minus. So then we have 3h plus 5 and h minus 8. Okay, good job. Miss Markel, step me through.
In the end, I got negative 4x plus 1 and then negative 3x minus 2.
Okay.
Okay, so first I found that 12 times negative 2 is negative 24, and then factor that negative 3 and 8, which 8 minus 3 is 5. And then I put 2x squared minus 3x squared, and then 3x minus 2
And then plus 2
minus.
minus 2. So got slow on you. So you said minus 3. No worries. Minus 3 and plus 8. Okay, so now, can you factor anything out here? It's 12x. Oh, it's 12x. Okay, that makes it better.
Yeah, I factored out negative 3. So we get negative 4x plus 1.
So negative 3x.
Yeah. And then for the second part, I factored out negative 2. So we get negative 4x plus 1.
Okay. And so that gave you these factors. Does anybody see a different way?
There probably is.
What if, I'll take it right here. What if on 12x squared minus 3x minus 8x minus 2? Oh, thank you. What if we factored out a positive 4x?
I tried that. But I didn't like it. So I didn't.
So what is 4x times what gives you 12x squared?
3x.
No, 3x.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
12x.
Hang on.
No.
Ms. Harrison made a mistake. What if we factor out a 3x? So the same thing that Ms. Markel did, but instead of making these negative, which gives us that negative in front, so what is 3x times what equals 12x squared? 4x. And 3x times what equals a negative 3x? Negative 1. And then over here, same thing, factor out a positive 2. And that gives you what? 2 times what equals 8x? 4x. And 2 times what gives you a negative 2? Negative 1. So then you could have 3x plus 2 and negative 4x minus 1. Anytime you can get a negative out, you want to get that negative out of the leading coefficient or the leading term. Excellent. All right. Mr. J.
Draw a little X lady.
Okay.
I got 6 times negative 21 equals negative 26, negative 126.
Okay.
And then that has to be negative 5. And the factors for that are negative 14 there, yeah. At the end, I got 2y plus 3 and then 3y minus 7.
Okay, so 2y plus 3 and 3y minus 7.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure those are different.
That's fine. So take me through, where did you go from here to here?
That's where you got me. You answer then. Obviously needed help, so.
So let's,
You have to write 6y minus 6y squared plus 9y. And then negative 14y minus 21. And you have to like divide that equation after 9.
yeah, so imaginary line there. And what are you going to factor out of the first two terms?
3.
3 what?
3y. So then you'll get 2y plus 3 inside. And then for the second part, you'll do negative 7 to get rid of the negatives on the inside. And you get left with 2y plus 3.
So then your factors are what's on the outside
And first,
and what's on the inside. That's all it is.
I think I've got a little clearer now, but I need to do some.
You need to do some research.
All right.
Some politics.
Miss Cammie, you got 18? Oh, Braden, you got 18? Cammie, you had 20. Never mind. Sorry about that.
I think you should just all that. Because I got to the X.
Steps go.
And we will help them. Negative 8 like 60 is the big 6, and then it's 72 and negative 12. And then I zeroed out the grouping. But after that, what was your final answer? Tell her your final. I don't know.
Do you have a greatest common factor here?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. That's what that is.
What's your greatest common factor?
At least 2. I think it's 8. I don't know.
No, it's 2. It's 2.
It's definitely not 8. Never mind.
It's 2.
So if we factor out 2, what are we left with?
Yeah, 4.
It's 4.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So if we factor out 4, we're left with What on the inside? What's our trinomial?
4n squared
Wait, oh, 50
plus 15.
minus,
No,
112. It's 13. Minus 14.
What did you say?
Minus 14 is.
54 divided.
Yes, minus 14. Wait, no, it's going.
Wait, no, yeah.
It's 2J. I told
It's
you
2J.
2J.
Ah, well, you agreed with 4.
Because I just Harrison said it. Harrison said it right. So just stop it.
I'm just writing what y'all tell me.
It's 2.
It's 2. Yeah.
8n squared plus
All right.
30n.
It just looks like 4 is going to 54, but it
Minus 26. No, 27.
That's how they do it.
Okay,
This is his fault.
What it sure is.
so now we have 8 times a negative 27. What is that?
216.
So you have negative 216,
And that has to equal positive 30.
positive 30.
Alright, right. My calculator is not. Alright, so let's see.
So what are the factors? I mean, at 216, you could just start by saying
2.
1 and 216. 2 and 1, oh wait, 3,
It's gotta be like. It's gotta be at least 10. At least.
No, it's
No.
10.
No, it has to be more than 30.
so what is 3 and, how many times will 3 go into 216? Y'all are the ones with the calculators.
It's that.
So 4,
It's 5. No, it's
316 or 216
divided by 4.
54. It's 54.
5 won't go. Will 6?
It's 36. It's 6. Oh, it's 36. Yeah, times.
Have we found something that has a difference of 30 now? Which one's going to be positive and which one's going to be negative? So now let's group. We've got 2 on the outside. We're going to ignore it for a minute. So we've got 8m squared
Plus 30. Yeah, it'd be plus 30. Right.
Let's do a minus 6. Let's try that.
Yeah, let's do minus 6. So for some reason it's not 8, but it's 36.
And 36m minus 27. So what's your greatest common factor here? 2 what? And what are you left with on the inside?
Minus 6. Or minus 3, sorry.
You're like, we're getting 4.
4 and all my 4 and minus 3.
What happened to
Yes.
the other 2 though? I just wrote it down here. Wait.
What's the greatest common factor here?
Yeah,
3.
Yeah, 33.
Something bigger than 3.
No.
No.
Definitely not 9.
No.
Yes, it's 9. 9 times 4.
Oh, I thought it was at 30.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was at 30.
So you're 4.
I thought it was 30. So I was like, no, it's not 30. Oh.
Picky, picky.
It looks like 30. Yeah, it looks like 30.
This board's horrible, I'm sorry. So 9 will go into 36m how many times? 4m. And then 9 will go into 27 how many times? So now what are our factors? We're going to bring that 2 back down. Don't want to lose it. 2 times what?
2 plus 9.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was just wondering what happened to the other two.
We just left it out for a minute while we were working on the trinomial. But don't forget it. You gotta bring it back down.
That's gonna be one. Yeah, I might fail that way.
All right,
My turn.
your turn. Step me through.
Okay, so first, start with the problem. So, yeah, well, okay, I'll tell you my answer first.
Okay.
I got 3x minus 2 squared.
Okay, now step me through.
Okay, so you got a little xing,
Mhm.
and then 36 at the top. Negative 12 at the bottom. Yours was easy. Negative 6, negative 6.
Mhm.
Let's do it math.
I can solve this in my head.
Negative 9x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 4. Then 3x is the greatest common factor, the greatest thing. And then it's 3x minus 2. And then you 3x minus 2 on the other side, and it's negative 2. And it's the same exact thing, so it's 3x 2 minus, or 3x minus 2 squared.
And so once again, outside, inside.
You literally got to do this thing.
No, I'm just doing that.
So 3x minus 2 squared. Okay. All right, Miss Cammy, your turn.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I think I did what Braden did and didn't factor out the 8. No. I got an answer, but it's probably not right because I didn't do that.
What's your answer?
It's y plus 4, 8, and then parenthesis y plus 3. Or the other way around, whichever.
Say it again one more time.
8 parenthesis y plus 3. And then y plus 4.
Okay. And can you step me through it?
Yeah, I did. That A and C is 8 times 96, which is 768. And then what is the
Did you say 768?
together to get 56, and I got 32 and 24.
What was your A and C, Cammy? I didn't hear you.
768.
768. All right, so now what do you do?
And then I replaced 56y with 32y plus 24y.
Guys, are y'all paying attention?
Yes.
Yes.
And then what did you factor out in the first two terms?
I had 8y parentheses y plus 4.
And then the second two?
24 parentheses y plus 4.
So then you had 8y plus 24 times y plus 4.
Yeah, and then I factored out that, or yeah, I guess you'll call it factored out the 8.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So then you had 8y plus 3.
Suggestion.
What?
You could, to begin with, you could find everything by 8.
Yeah. So you would have factored out the 8 at the beginning instead of the end. You could do it either way.
Yeah.
Either way, absolutely. Any questions? Got a question?
Closest finder.
All right, so what about the difference of squares? What about the difference of squares?
This is where it starts.
What?
Did you say the answer is always 12?
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Negative.
No, it worked. I'm on. Sorry. You just know that answer you put. I did it at least 3 times.
Oh my goodness, no. So what is you can use the exact same process, guys. What's your A on number 21?
What?
What's your B? What's your B?
Zero.
0. And then what is your C? -4. So if you do your factor cross, you've got -4 and 0. What are the factors of -4 that will add together to get 0?
1 and -4.
And
1.
what are the
2
factors?
and -2.
So 2 and -2.
1 and 2.
So then you have x plus 2, x minus 2.
I
Huh?
don't know why I did it, but
So that's the other way you can do this. You have the property of the difference of squares says that a plus b times a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. So this is very important. You need to memorize this because it'll make your life simpler. Jake, will you read off number 22 for me?
Y squared minus 81.
Say that again.
Y squared minus 81.
So you can still do the cross. If you like the cross, you can still do the cross. Basically what you're looking for when you see something that is perfect squares on both ends and your b is 0, then what are your factors of c that's going to add together to get 0? So you have a times c, a is 1, c is 81, -81. What are the factors of -81 that will give you 0?
9.
Plus 9 minus 9. The other way you could do this, so you've got y minus 9, y plus 9, is you've got y squared is equal to a squared. Take the square root of both sides, you have y is equal to a. Then you've got 81 is equal to b squared. Take the square root of both sides. You got 9 is equal to b. And because you know the difference of squares property, you can automatically say y plus 9, y minus 9. Now you try. Take 4 and do 23 and 24. Take 3. I think you can go to 3. You can do the cross, or you can just do the square root method. You know the sign is going to be a plus and minus. All you have to figure out is what your A and your B is. Everybody done? Barntown, how did you see it?
So what I did at first was 3x minus 5y squared. But I saw that 3x, you would have to do a FOIL method and 5y squared. And that it would be 3x times 5y squared. And I didn't see that working. So I did y to the x squared minus 5y squared squared. So parentheses 3x and then parentheses squared. Okay, see that's all. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when we see that we do not have a B, we automatically should know that there's going to be a positive and a negative, right? And remember, it's A squared minus B squared is equal to A minus B times A plus B. So what is the square root of 9x squared? 3x. What is the square root of negative 25y to the fourth? So it's just 5y squared. So you just look, what's the square root of the first term? What's the square root of the second term? It's going to be a plus and a minus.
Oh, I understand it.
What do you think, Jay?
I was trying to factor the entire time, so it'll be, like I was trying to, because I couldn't find a common factor for 9.5 on most of the time.
I understand. All right, so we'll pick up on 24 tomorrow. You have a closing question in your classroom, and your homework is. While you're logging into Google Classroom, I'll be posting your homework.
I'll do a buzzer.
I'm gonna put it on the board, but I'll also post it in Google Classroom.
Very good.